Hello, bonjour, namaste, ni hao, and ohio everybody. What is going on? It is Galeriot here. Welcome back to the YouTube channel once again for another Danmachi Battle Chronicle video. And today I wanted to talk about the possibility of Danchro potentially getting delayed. Now, I would like to preface this video by saying that there is no evidence for this game getting delayed. In fact, I would say it's quite the opposite actually. The recent live stream that we had a couple of days ago, to which I actually reacted to and translated a little bit, they even said in that live stream that the game is still planned for spring 2023, which means it'll release in the next month or two effectively. The latest date being sometime middle of June is my guess, of course, right? But I wanted to make this video because one, we haven't heard of the game at all since the live stream. They haven't announced a next live stream. They haven't mentioned anything in regards to the release date even in the live stream. So I wanted to talk about the possibility of them potentially delaying the game, whether it's a good idea for them to delay the game in the first place, or are they still on track to release a good game by the end of the spring season. Now, of course, if you guys go on to enjoy this video, please be sure to leave a like down below, subscribe to the channel for more Danmachi and Danmachi Battle Chronicle content, and of course, let me know in the comment section down below, what do you guys feel about the game right now, right? The beta test is over, the live stream is done, everything's been shown off. What do you guys think? Because I feel like a lot of people are not very impressed with what the game is showing. In fact, I know my own familiar in Danmimo, as well as a couple of other people that I've been seeing, are very much not in love with the game. In fact, a lot of people are saying Danmimo actually looks a lot better. So let me know what you guys think. I'm very curious to see what the general audience thinks about the game at this point in time. You know, after the beta test is done, the live stream is done, your expectations for the game, are they the same? Are they lowered now? Let me know in the comment section. I'm very curious to see what you guys have to say down below. Now, I would like to start this off by saying that whatever Danmachi Battle Chronicle does in the next couple of months is a little bit of a problem. The release schedule wasn't the smartest idea, I will say that. Of course, they're gonna attract the Danmachi fans for sure, but to me personally, especially if you're a new gacha game, you're gonna want to capitalize on a big audience. That's what Danmimo did, to be fair, right? We had a lot of players who didn't know what Danmachi was get into the game. A lot of my own friends and moderators for my YouTube channel as well as Twitch only found out about Danmachi because of the new gacha game, right? And as a result, they would want to capitalize on a good release period when the game comes out, whenever the game comes out, right? The release period has to be perfect. But the problem is, right, if you look at the next couple of months, right, you take a look at the end of this month, we have Honkai Star Rail coming out, which is probably the biggest release at this point in time to come out this year at least, right? We obviously have other games in closed beta tests at this point, such as Wuthering Waves. You have Wherever Arknight's Enfield is, that game is supposed to come out sometime soon. Limbus Company, Reverse 1999. There are so many gacha games that are being planned for release that are super hyped up by the gacha gaming community, that a lot of the general audiences will look at those games. And because Danmachi Battle Chronicle is one, just another anime IP gacha game, which, to be fair, anime IP gacha games don't have the greatest rep in the community, right? With that being an anime IP gacha game, and of course the beta test being very, I would say, muted. Of course, I got some amazing support and love throughout my coverage of the game, of course, right? The videos I published as well as the streams I did. But I felt like it was very muted as a whole, in all honesty. I felt like it was muted as a whole. But, of course, with the announcement of all these gacha games coming in, I feel like Danmachi Battle Chronicle may have made a bit of a mistake trying to get a release date at least so close to Honkai Star Rail, if anything. Forget the other gacha games. Honkai Star Rail being at the end of this month means that it is in the spring season, so the hype for that game is at least going to ride for at least a month or 2 months, which means from April to June, that's probably the only gacha game we're gonna hear about, right? At least when it comes to new gacha games, more recent gacha games that aren't of the same popularity as Genshin or FGO, for example, right? But not only that, then you also have in June Danmachi Battle Chronicle's direct competitor when it comes to the IP itself. Danmimo's anniversary is in June. A lot of people are very much anticipating, you know, what Danmimo is going to do next for the anniversary, because if anything, Danmimo does one thing brilliantly, it's its anniversary. The anniversaries in Danmachi Memoria Freese are probably the best periods of the gacha game completely. And I mean, it has to be. always, whenever it comes to gacha games, the anniversaries have to be the best period at all times. I mean, there's a reason why a lot of people are always disappointed with Genshin's anniversaries, because they're not hyped whatsoever. But then on the other hand, when you have a game like Danmimo doing such a fantastic job with their anniversary, I mean, you're gonna be struggling to go up against that as well, when, you know, a lot of players will look at, you know, both Danmachi gacha games, and you see one is celebrating its anniversary and it's in its 6th anniversary, and a lot of people are playing the game. You're gonna tend towards the game that more people are playing, rather than the new game, where obviously there are going to be teething issues, which we'll come on to later on in the video. But that's another problem that Danmachi Battle Chronicle has. So there is a little bit of reason, in my personal opinion, with what the competitors are doing for Danmachi Battle Chronicle to potentially take its time and potentially release maybe in fall. I don't know, maybe like September or October instead, right? Now, as a content creator, I would love for Danmachi Battle Chronicle to release sometime soon, because that means I have way more content to cover, right? On the channel, I can do 2 videos a day, one Danmimo, one Danmachi Battle Chronicle video, and I'm gonna be good, right? I'll be eating good. You guys will be getting a lot of content as a result of that, and there would be no issues whatsoever. But I would rather the game be releasing at a time where there are more people going to be coming to the game, as well as at a period where, well, they will have enough time to actually work on the game as well. Because one of the biggest issues the game has had is that a lot of people are unimpressed with what the game is delivering. In fact, in the live stream itself and in my final impressions, I addressed, and obviously the stream addressed, a lot of issues that the player base has. And that is, of course, things like, for example, the difficulty curve being too high, the dupe system being a little bit in all honesty. Then on top of that, you have things like, for example, the lack of a story in the events. The main story, the actual Danmachi season stories, the main story has animations and cutscenes and event stories. But the actual, like, limited events, right? For example, we had an event in the game where, you know, Bell was going through all his big bosses in season 1 outside of the Goliath. At the end, it ended at the Minotaur, and we didn't have any sort of story section in that event, which, I mean, obviously I know some people don't care about the story, especially if it's a story that's literally going to be the adaptation of season 1. But for me personally, as somebody who would love to see the 3D models and the 3D cutscenes in potentially the anniversary story, for example, whenever they do the anniversary and there's a tale for that or an event for that, you can't not put story in that, right? So that's another thing. A lot of people also didn't really like the battle royale game mode. People were having issues with fighting other people. It felt like connection was there were connection issues, input lag and stuff like that. Now that sort of stuff I feel like is more in line with or in relation with, you know, people trying to connect from all over the world, right? Because while the beta test was supposed to be only in Japan, a lot of us managed to gain access to the game outside of Japan, which meant that obviously you're trying to do a battle royale PvP game mode with people all over the world, when the servers, at least in the beta test, weren't built for that, right? Of course, maybe the JP version of the game won't be built for that either, but that'll be a different problem altogether. That'll be a problem for future me to talk about in the future. So obviously that sort of stuff isn't really too much of an issue. But yeah, a lot of people were having niggling issues here and there with a lot of stuff. I mean, a lot of people were in the middle of the ground. 50% would say they love the game, then the rest of the 50 to 60% would say, well, it really isn't to our taste. There are still some issues. I mean, it's really telling that a lot of people were also putting the fact that, you know, it wasn't amazing, it wasn't great, it was okay at best, you know, stuff like that, because that leads to a load of things, right? It leads to a lot of questions as to why is it not amazing from the get-go. And I mean, that's not really too much of a problem, to be honest, because this is a new game. There are obviously going to be teething issues. No gacha game, whenever it launches, is perfect. I mean, we know this from time. You play any gacha game in its first year, they're on a charge to try and bring out QOL updates that will actually benefit the player in the future. I mean, you look at games like Seven Deadly Sins Grand Cross, you look at games like Arknights, Dragalia, you name it, right? These games, and even games that are super old like Dokkan and FGO, actually, they also still introduce quality of life updates to this day to help the player base. So it's not really a big issue, but still it is quite telling that players are still, you know, unsure about how the game is. But yeah, a lot of people were complaining about things like, you know, the difficulty of being able to move a character, the opponents were too strong, and so on and so forth. So there are teething issues, and for me personally, if because of that, as well as the, you know, the original point I made where, you know, there are too many competitors doing too many different things around Danmachi Battle Chronicle, I think it's better for them to make a, you know, take a step back and take the decision to delay the game. I genuinely do believe that. I think they need to take more time to develop this game. One of the biggest issues I feel that this game has as well is that they have two developers. On one side, it should be a good thing, right? Because then you can take the good of both companies and come together and make an amazing gacha game or an amazing game. You look at any title with two developers, you would hope that would be the case, right? But the problem is when you merge two developers together and you get too many ideas, you know, too many cooks spoil the broth, right? That's what the saying is, right? And as a result, I feel like that's the same situation here as well. I feel like there are too many cooks that are spoiling the broth, and on top of that, a lot of the bad qualities of both developers, KLab and Aiming Inc. is coming together. I think I would have been much more happier if it was only, say, for example, KLab primarily developing this game. But the thing is, right, I feel like if KLab, the thing is, right, I will say I wouldn't have liked Aiming Inc. to develop this game, because if Aiming Inc. was primarily developing this game, we would have probably seen a completely different game. Probably not even a 3D battle CGI game, to be honest. So I think I would have preferred a KLab to take over the reins of everything here, but that's not the case. So now they have to deal with the fact that there are two developers trying to develop this game and trying to get it out, you know, as soon as possible. Now, I don't see that happening. I don't see them delaying this game. I will say that this is very unlikely. This video was primarily me talking about the plausibility of it happening, and I don't think it's going to happen. But should they delay the game? Yes, I do think they should delay the game, and I think it's better if they do delay it, maybe by a couple of months, maybe to the point where it's maybe releasing in July or August instead. I don't think they'll delay it to September or October. I think that's way too late, especially for, you know, profit and loss accounts and break even, and the fact that they have to, you know, follow up on, you know, making sure that the stakeholders know what's happening with the game and stuff like that. This is something that happens in the game industry a lot of the times. I mean, you look at games like Cyberpunk, for example, right? Cyberpunk 2077, it released in the state it did because the developers had to appease to the producers, to the stakeholders, right? And it's the same situation here. They can't delay the game for too long because they will have to appease to the investors and the stakeholders, and as a result, Danmachi Battle Chronicle won't get delayed, I think, at all. But if it does get delayed, it probably won't be delayed by much, maybe a month or 2 months. I think they've taken a smart decision in saying that the game will come out only in spring 2023 because it gives them a 2-month leeway. But the thing is, right, with the beta test happening at the start of spring, I felt it would have been better if they just said it was coming out in summer 2023, because that would have allowed them to get a bigger range of months. It would have allowed them to get from the end of June to all the way to September as a release period, right? Now we'll have to wait and see when the game comes out, of course. Let me know what you guys think, of course. Like I said, I'm very curious to see if you guys think that the game will come out anytime soon. Do you guys think the game will get delayed? Do you guys want the game to get delayed so that they could fix the issues? And what are your thoughts on the game as well? Let me know in the comment section down below. Of course, if you guys enjoyed this short but you know, retrospective video, I suppose, or insightful video, I suppose, I think is the best way to put it. Let me know what you guys think, of course, and if you guys did enjoy it, of course, leave a like down below, subscribe to the channel for more Danmachi and Danmachi Battle Chronicle content, and of course, I will see you guys in the next video. Until then, take it easy, everybody. Have a good one. Bye-bye.